Hi, Chalk Squad, it's Dylan.
From the grave, it's Andrew.
From the grave?
That's died.
So dark. Okay. All right. Well, you know what's not dark? The episode you're about to listen to. Or maybe it is, because here's the deal. The episode you're about to listen to was originally a bonus episode of the show that was behind a paywall. And as part of such, it was not edited or censored or really anything. So I've gone ahead and marked it explicit for the public publishing. It might not be, but I figure we better cover our bases. And I'm not going to go through and re-listen to all of these to verify. So just have fun with unedited, off the cup, probably drinking alcohol, Dylan and Andrew.
Yeah.
Because
it was a joy to make. I hope it's a joy to listen to.
Yep. So anyways, enjoy this, guys. Hello and welcome to Candid Commentaries, the bonus show that we do for the Wadfam Chalk Pod, which I try and not to start with hello and welcome, but I can't help it. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo.
And if you don't know that, how are you here?
Did you get lost? I'm so sorry you accidentally gave us money.
Do you have any podcasts where you can't tell two of the people apart?
The McElroy brothers. For the longest time, I could not place the voice to which person it was. And if you put them all in the lineup, I still don't think I could do it. Like, I think I could get one right and probably mix the other two up.
Yeah, that tends to be the trick, is I feel like two-person shows I'm really good at.
Yeah.
Because they're only ever going back and forth.
Yeah.
But as soon as you have a third, it can get confusing.
Infinitely harder.
And I run into that with Chilluminati, a show I like, where I knew one of the hosts beforehand, so I know his voice.
But the other
and
people.
The other two, I'm like, I know enough of their vibe because I've listened to, I don't know, 100 episodes from them or whatever, that I can like kind of pick it apart. But I'm like, if you put a gun to my head, I might still get it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much that my ears can do in that department.
Yeah.
Especially if they sound similar, like, that's even worse.
Yeah. So, we're doing another fanfic episode, back by popular demand. I don't know if there was popular demand, but I sure as
It was
hell
popular with
wanted,
us.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to do this again. So we're gonna start it off with me picking up the last one we did.
The story continues.
Yes. So to recap, there is a mysterious watch that is at wit's end, and Connie has one just like it at her house, and so she is running home to get it. She also has the hots for Jason in this fanfic.
I mean, who doesn't?
I mean, fair. So yeah, here we go.
I'm excited.
Connie pulled her jacket tighter around her as she walked against the wind towards the house that she and Pennywise shared. She wondered where she left that old fob watch. It was probably still packed away from the move, or still in one of her mom's boxes. Her mom. Connie smiled sadly at the thought of her mother, now 3 months dead. She would have loved this mystery about watches. Come to think of it, my mom knew about the watch, she thought. She reached back far into her memory and replayed the scene in her head. Connie was just a tot then, no more than 3. She loved going through the old boxes and junk that was in her mom's attic, and one day she found the watch. It was a beautiful thing, brighter and newer than Wit's, with the same pattern, only different, with more circles and dots. She picked it up and admired it, then started to try and open it with her chubby fingers. "Connie," her mother called up the ladder, "come for lunch." "Okay, Mommy," she said, walking back towards the ladder. "Look what I found. Isn't it pretty?" Her mom stared at the watch, then slowly reached up and swung her down from the top of the ladder. She sat her down and took the timepiece carefully from her. Connie thought she saw a tear in her eye. "Mommy, why are you crying?" she asked, hugging her around the leg. June smiled and stroked her head. "When you're older, I'll explain, okay? You wouldn't understand, but now let's go have lunch." A car honked nearby. waking her out of her reminiscence. Why had Mom cried at the sight of the watch? What was it? Or what did her mom want to forget? The last thought hit Connie like a sack of bricks. Why did that sound right? Connie reached her house several minutes later. She stepped in, calling, "Penny, you home?" "I'm in the attic," came the faint reply. Connie made her way upstairs and climbed carefully up the ladder. "What are you doing up here?" Penny dusted her hands on front of her already dusted pants, then wiped her forehead, leaving a gray streak. "I'm trying to make room for several paintings, but it's proving to be a harder job than I thought." "Okay, but could you maybe stop for a break and help me find something?" "Of course. What?" "An old pocket watch." Penny surveyed the mountains of boxes around her. "Okay, where do we start?" "You take this side," Connie gestured to the left side of the room, "and I'll take this side." She walked over to a box on the right-hand side of the dusty room and began to search through it. "It'll be on or near the top, and I saw it 2 or 3 months ago. I just put it on top of the junk in one of these boxes." "Okay, that's good, but would you mind telling me why you need this old watch?" Connie smiled. "Well, this is going to sound weird, but we thought there might be a mystery connected to it."
End of chapter?
No, just the chapter break. So, thoughts so far, Andrew? The mystery continues to build. We understand that this is a post-June Kendall
Yes.
story.
Connie's
living with Penny. So it's post-June Kendall, but in an alternate universe where Wooten and Penny aren't married. Did they get? I don't know actually the timeline of New Odyssey. Maybe they didn't get married until after.
It's mighty close. I'd have to pull up the club to look at album release dates.
That's all right. I think we can survive.
I think that. Yeah, there's no way to know. I give up.
We'll never know. All right.
It's impossible.
Eugene, Jason called, slapping him lightly on the cheeks. Eugene groaned, then opened his eyes. He held out the watch to Whit. "I've finished the tests. There is indeed something supernatural about it." Whit took the watch, and Jason helped him up into his chair. "Are you sure, Eugene?" he asked, nervous. "Something supernatural?" "My brain tells me that of course not, but I cannot deny what I've seen, what it did." He looked at it apprehensively, as if it would do something else to him. "Hold on, Eugene. You said it did something to you?" Whit said, gingerly setting the offending watch on the table. They do a really good job of capturing the voices of these characters.
They do.
In this story. They clearly spent a lot of time with this show, much like us. Eugene sat up a little straightened in the chair and adjusted his glasses. "I was doing a bit of research on this type of watch on my laptop, and I realized that I haven't even opened it yet. I tried to for a while, but when I did finally get it open, a bright golden light shot out and hit me on the face. It must have knocked me unconscious." Jason raised one eyebrow. "A light hit you and knocked you out?" "Yes, Jason. I know it sounds ludicrous, but that's what happened. I want to see this for myself now." Jason reached for the watch, but Eugene grabbed his arm. "No, you do not want that to happen to you." "Why?" "Remember, I'm an ex-NSA agent. I've been through more than a blow to the head." "I know, but it was more like it got inside my head and played with my memories, showing me different times and planets and what he did to those who tried to stop him." Eugene started trembling, and Whit put his arm around him, gently helping him up. "How about we go downstairs and have a coffee? That should clear your head." "Good idea," Eugene said faintly. Then they left the room, and Whit called over his shoulder, "Do not touch that watch, Jason." Fine. Jason watched them leave. Then he turned to the table. The watch sat there, looking so old and innocent. "He? What did Eugene mean by he?" Jason shook his head, as if to clear it, then followed him down the stairs for coffee. Another chapter break.
That's insane.
So we got a mysterious, spooky watch.
We have a very spooky watch.
Yeah.
How many chapters is this?
I think 6. So
Okay.
we're still working our way through 2. So this is not the end of the chapter. This is just a break in the middle.
Oh, okay. So when you're saying chapter break, it's not the next chapter.
Yes.
Okay.
I realize that language makes no sense.
No.
Yep, that's my bad. It is another break in the chapter.
Okay.
Because we have the 2, like, across town that we got to jump back and forth between, there's breaks. And where you would normally have, like, you know, like the little squiggle in the middle of the page to show, like, hey, we're switching.
Yeah.
They just typed AIO 4 times with no spacing, all caps, which is delightful.
Adventures in Odyssey, Adventures in Odyssey.
Yep, it's
All
really
right.
good. Found it, Connie exclaimed triumphantly, pulling the watch from the 6th box she was going through. Penny set the one she was working on down with a sigh. I'm glad that's over. Let's see. Connie handed her the watch, and Penny turned it over in her hand. Well, it looks mid-century. I know that, Penny, but I need to take it back to Wits End. She took it from her roommate and put her coat back on. Will you be stopping by the shop later? Oh, you know me. I'll probably drop by for a raspberry ripple. Penny grinned up at her. Okay, see you then. Connie stepped carefully down the ladder and out the door. This time, she hurried back to the shop and was there just as Whit had finished making coffee and was pouring Eugene a cup. He had regained much of his color and had stopped shaking so much. I got the watch. Connie walked up to the counter. Sorry it took so long. I had to go through a few boxes in my attic. She handed it to Whit, and he looked at it closely with a magnifying glass Eugene had left there earlier. Well, it looks like mine, only with more circular patterns. I wonder what it means. Do you think it actually means something, Whit? Connie asked. I thought it was just some sort of design. Yes, if you look carefully at it, he handed her the watch and glass, you'll notice that there is a pattern to it. It's not just random. There are these semicircles and dots, he pointed toward the middle of it, that appear more frequently than others. It's the same on my watch. Is it some sort of language? Connie asked. It appears so. Eugene, why aren't you talking at all? Connie looked over at him. He gulped his coffee, shaking his head and holding a finger. Eugene had a misadventure with my watch. Whit filled her in on what happened. Connie's eyes widened. She set the watch on the counter. Maybe we should just get rid of it. And if it's going to hurt us, then I don't care about the mystery connected to it. She gestured towards the trash can, sitting by conveniently. Eugene set down his mug and shook his head violently. No, 1,000 times no. He put his hand protectively over it. But Eugene, it hurt you. You got knocked out. Connie pleadingly put her hand on top of his. Ms. Kendall, if it was anything else, I'd agree with you. But this watch, I don't know. I'd just go through it again to find out its secret. Connie sighed and lifted her hand off his. All right, but if you're going to be... All right, then, if you're going to be so stubborn about it. But be careful. Eugene grinned at her. Aren't I always? End of chapter.
Wow. Suspense.
Mm-hmm.
Hot dog.
It's a good mystery.
Yeah.
I have no idea where it's going, and the supernaturalness of it means that it couldn't, like, realistically be an Odyssey episode.
Uh-huh.
But they're doing a really good job, and it's well written.
That's awesome. Yeah, no. That's so marvelous how people can think out entire stories in their heads like that. Yeah. It's wonderful.
All right.
I love the fanfic community.
Andrew, what
my
are you
offering,
bringing to the table today?
my offering before Phil Lawler is Alicia's Adventures in Odyssey from Wattpad. And it basically, here, I'll read you the description.
Just launch into it, Andrew.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Give me it clean.
I will. I think you'll like it. Dear Diary, I am so sorry it has taken me so long to keep you updated as to what's been going on for the past 2 weeks. Lately, I've become so busy and exhausted that I didn't have time for you. I don't understand how Anne Frank was always able to keep updated with Kitty.
All right, no.
Yeah, we move on. You must be aware from my last entry that I mentioned we were going to move from my childhood town in Massachusetts to Indianapolis. Honestly, I hated having to leave that place. That is home to me, and to call another place home. After all, home is where the heart is, and there is no place like home. Today my heart is still set toward East Longmeadow. I started school at my new Christian school on Monday, but the experience I went through the entire last week was something I'll never forget. Oops, never say never. I wanted to point out one fact you must realize before we start the story. Members of my old church in Connecticut and my parents said that moving must be the will of God because he is guiding our steps. The church choir even sang "Order My Steps" on our last night there. However, I was not pleased because I thought if God actually really did love me, he would not take me away from my home and leave it all behind. I felt like I was leaving my life behind. I had to leave behind everything I treasured about that place. On Friday, August 5th, my parents took me to Lake Compounce, I want to say.
Sure, why not?
Like they promised over a year ago. That night, everybody packed up their final things for the trip. At 3 a.m. the next day, my mom and brother piled into the car while my dad and I piled into the van. After we all said a prayer for the trip, then we drove off while we were being followed by our moving van from U-Haul. Name drop. The trip to Indy was the experience I will never forget as long as I live. End of prologue.
Okay. You gonna keep going?
I would love to.
Okay. All right. How long we got here?
The next one's 3 pages.
All right,
It's not bad.
Yeah. Just keep hitting me with it. I took plenty of time.
Chapter 1, Trying New Places. We spent most of the day driving.
So she's moving from Massachusetts to Indianapolis. I'm interested how this is tying into Odyssey.
Me too. We spent most of the day driving through a few states while sharing conversation, jokes, songs, and puzzles. I could have taken the time to write to you then, but I was having too much fun, and there was not a whole lot to tell you about, except for one thing. The more time we spent away from Massachusetts, the more I felt pulled away from home. The less I was pleased with God, and the more I started breaking up my relationship with him. Going through breakup with God, that's tough. While driving through Ohio, the moving van with our furniture broke down. We had to stop at a mechanical shop for semi-trucks. I can't remember what the problem was, but it would take a week to solve. In the meantime, we explored to find an area to stay. Finally...
Is it gonna be Odyssey?
Finally, there
They're
was
doing
a
the
small
Odysseys in
town that
Ohio
pleased
thing.
all of us. The welcome sign said the town was called Odyssey.
Woo!
I have never heard of any town called Odyssey before, not even in Greece. While we were looking for a hotel, we passed by a huge place that looked like a recreation center and an ice cream shop, but bigger. What an idea! I wanted to check it out after we find a place to settle in and a place to stay. At last, we found the Odyssey Hotel. We checked out a room and started unloading what we had. My dad and brother got in one bed, and my mom and I got in the other. Unfortunately, I will have to share the covers again. She says I always take them when I sleep with her.
I don't have siblings of the opposite gender. However, it feels like parents in one bed, kids in the other is always the play, no? Have you ever experienced the...
Unless they're like small children and twins, I don't really see.
Yeah, but then you have like a pack and play.
Exactly.
But yeah, interesting
strategy.
You know, maybe, yeah. I don't want to get into it.
Maybe they both have like sleeping bags. Maybe we have like a Mike Birbiglia situation.
All right.
Anyway, after I was through unpacking my necessary items, I asked my parents if I could check out the area. They thought I meant area as in the hotel building. I actually meant the area as in the town area, and said yes.
Deceiving your parents, not very focus friendly.
I did not have a phone, so my mom let me use hers. I probably won't have a phone of my own until I'm 16.
Yep.
Love the drop.
This is 100% a self-insert, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like they are writing themselves into the town of Odyssey,
Yeah.
and I'm here for it.
It's delightful. As soon as I was out of the hotel, I was headed for the recreational/ice cream place. I didn't notice the sign out front on the lawn that read the name of the place. I went inside while the door rang a bell. Interesting wording. Okay. The place looked like an ice cream
It's got to ring the
restaurant.
bell, Andrew.
It does. It's very
wit's end.
important. It's iconic. The place looked like an ice cream restaurant with a bar, and the air was filled with children's laughter. I sat down at a bench by the window and did some hard thinking about my past mixed with moving. I was not aware an old man approached me as I talked to myself. Uh-oh. I just don't get it. Nobody seems to understand what I'm going through. Even my parents didn't care about my opinion on moving. Sure, I agreed with them on moving at first, but now I'm beginning to regret what I told them. What is this place called anyway? Wit's End, the old man said. That's right. I really am at my wit's end. The man laughed at my reply, causing me to jolt out of a space and look at him in embarrassment. Oh, I am so sorry. I didn't notice you were there. That's all right. You seem new here. Until I told him I was temporarily new. He said, really? What might your name be? Me?
Wait, temporarily new? All right, cool.
Isn't all newness temporary?
Yes.
Until you're there for a bit, then you're not new?
All right. Carry on.
What, really? What might your name be? Me? I asked him, feeling unsure. My name's Alicia Sims. I put out my hand to shake his. Ah, my name is John Avery Whitaker, but you can call me Whit. It's a pleasure to meet you. He shook my hand, too. Likewise, I think. Do you run this place? If so, who is going to watch the counter? I asked Connie... Oh, she misspelled Kendall. She's, or maybe it's a copyright thing. I asked Connie Sindel to watch the counter. Do you mind if I sit with you for a while? Sure, I guess. I'm feeling uninterested. He sat down on the other side of the table and asked what I was talking about while I was looking out the window. I like looking through windows from inside because they seem to say that beyond this opening of glass, a world of opportunities lies out there waiting to be adventured and explored. Anyway, I turned towards Mr. Whitaker.
Not a bad line.
Yeah, me neither. Anyway, I turned toward Mr. Whitaker. I was talking about my move. I was from Massachusetts and we're heading to Indianapolis. Myself, my mom, my dad, and my brother. We ended up stuck here because our moving van had some engine issues. Why did it end up happening to us? We never should have moved in the first place. I know, diary. Never say never. I am sure Jesus knows what he's doing, even if it doesn't seem like it, Whit said. That sentence was enough to tense up my anger against God. It is high time I taught him a lesson. I ended up losing my temper. I stood up and gently slammed my hands against the table. Gently slammed my hands against the table.
Amen.
Hoping not to get others' attentions. Don't talk to me about God. He's the reason why we're all stuck out here, and he caused enough trouble in my life too. Did you stop being a believer in Christ? Are you sure you're not exaggerating and your parents actually decided on moving? Whit started sounding concerned for me. Yes, why should I consider him? Besides, I'm not exaggerating. My parents decided the move for the family and religious reasons, but everyone else keeps saying that it is the will of God, and I am a fool to believe them. Sorry, I can't take this anymore. I got up and went to the door. Before heading out the door, I turned around and said, Good day, Mr. Whitaker, and I finished walking out of Wit's End, leaving my new friend a little shocked. I felt uncomfortable talking to a stranger about Jesus and how I truly felt about him, especially since Whit is a strong believer. How did she know that? She must have gotten...
She's listened to the show.
Amen. After I walked out, I got a map of Odyssey, checked it out, and decided to walk around McAllister Park to cool down my temper and do some relaxed thinking. Oh, goodness. If you realized what I did to Whit is not how you're supposed to treat a new friend, you are correct. Unfortunately, I had friendship issues in Massachusetts, and I didn't know because no one in Massachusetts wanted me as a friend.
Aww.
End of chapter.
All right. I'm tearing up, Chalk Squad.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
And the bio for this lady, Daisy, is what she goes by. Well, the name above is not my real name, but you can call me Tulip.
Okay.
And she even says, the best way for me to create stories is to make the main character myself. You will find that happening in a number of my books. I am an apostolic Pentecostal with autism and ADHD. I have so many gifts for everything I do except drawing. I think I'm terrible at it. Amen. All my life,
good.
music. Aw.
Anyways, all right.
Delightful.
Bookmark it so we can come back to it, Andrew.
Yes.
When we do another one of these. So yeah, we're gonna do more fanfic episodes. Don't you guys worry. We're not gonna leave you on cliffhangers for those 2 lovely stories we brought to you today. I've got more chapters to talk about in the Mystery of the Watch.
Yep.
Andrew's got more chapters to read, I'm sure, in the
diaries.
self-insert diary. It's gonna be a fun time. Yeah, and like we've said before on these episodes, sound off if you particularly like what we're doing here or dislike what we're doing here on the bonus show. We're open to suggestions because we're doing this for you guys.
Yeah.
Unlike the regular show, which we just make for ourselves.
Yes.
This is a little bit more targeted. So yeah, we're open to it. Yeah.
You want us to cover movies? You want us to cover music?
I know.
What y'all thinking?
Yeah, that's true. Any content that I would normally shovel into the Andrew Sabo podcast could just be bonus
Could
content.
just be here. What podcast? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said. That podcast isn't real.
No, my Scrubs soundtrack isn't real. The Andrew Sabo podcast exists. Yeah. So we'll be back another time with another thing. Have a good one, folks.
Bye.